All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to look at the jurisprudence of fasting, but we're doing it through a really wild, futuristic lens. I want you to picture a setting we're calling Biopunk Medina. Imagine our two conceptual guides, Sawm and Jassas, hanging out by a crystal digital lake, right into the glow of these massive neon green domes. It's a whole vibe for sure. And in this setting, we're not just dusting off ancient rules. We're actually framing the jurisprudence of fasting, specifically drawn from the Salsabil Project, as a highly sophisticated spiritual operating system. It's literally an architecture for the soul. So let's break down exactly how this tech works.
So, setting the scene here, Joss is looking through his neon-tinted glasses at a bowl of glowing golden dates, and he asks Saham a really profound question. What actually powers this whole month? Like, what are the foundational codes that boot up and sustain this intense 30-day system of Ramadan? I mean, it's easy to see the external stuff, right? The not eating, the changed schedules, but what's the actual engine running under the hood? What keeps the whole system from just crashing?
And Salem's answer completely flips the script. He breaks down fasting, or Sawm, using the Salsabil framework, and tells Jassas to totally stop looking at it as a deprivation. It's not about starving the body, not at all. It's a deliberate hardware and software upgrade. Think of it as the zakat of the body. You know how zakat purifies wealth by clearing out the excess? Well, fasting purifies our physical vessel. It clears out all that spiritual static that just kind of builds up over the year. It's the ultimate upgrade for human consciousness, pushing us way beyond our base biological programming, so we can connect with something so much higher.
Now, what's absolutely fascinating to me is the sheer elegance of this system. Salem points out that despite its massive, universe-shifting effects on over 1 billion people worldwide, this entire spiritual technology rests on just two foundational pillars. They're called arkan. Just two. And if these two pillars are firmly in place, the entire operating system of the fast runs flawlessly. But if either one is missing or corrupted, the fast simply doesn't boot up. It fails to execute.
Okay, let's look at Pillar 1, Niyya, or intention.
This is so much more than just a passing thought. In the architecture of fasting, Niyya acts as your primary boot sequence. It's the conscious command line that tells your body and soul, hey, we are entering a sacred operational state. Salem explains this perfectly. The Niyya is the soul's activation code. And this is absolutely crucial. For the obligatory fast of Ramadan, this code has to be programmed in the dark of night, before the break of dawn. If you wake up, realize you haven't eaten, and just randomly decide at noon to call it a fast, the Salsabil framework is clear. That does not work for the obligatory fast. Without programming that activation code the night before, your daytime fast is basically just empty human hardware running on zero battery. You're not fasting, you're just hungry. That intention is literally what transforms a biological state of starvation into a high-level act of spiritual worship.
So the quality of this code really matters. Just as notes from the jurisprudence that this intention can't be some glitchy, hesitant thought. The system requires something called al-jazm. It has to be definitive and continuous. You can't go to sleep thinking, well, maybe I'll fast tomorrow, maybe I won't. No way. That kind of ambiguous code causes an immediate system error. You need a continuous, unbroken, absolute resolve to keep the system online. You have to be absolutely certain in your core that tomorrow you are fasting.
And once that boot sequence is locked in overnight, we move to Pillar 2, imsak, or abstaining.
If Niyya is the software command, Salem describes imsak as the active, impenetrable hardware defense mechanism. This is where the physical discipline actually happens during the daylight hours. It is the absolute shield guarding the jawf, which is the interior core of the human body, from all physical invalidators. Salem details how imsak works to secure that internal core against physical inputs. We're talking food, drink, and intimate relations. Absolutely nothing is allowed to breach the hull. By sealing off those physical inputs, the system preserves the pristine purity of your spiritual state. You're essentially turning off the body's usual reliance on external physical fuel so it can run entirely on pure spiritual connection.
And Jassas maps out the precise operational time frame for this shield, showing just how strict the parameters are. The system basically runs on cosmic timing. First up, dawn, or fajr. The exact moment the light breaks, boom, the shield is fully activated. The perimeter is secured. Then, midday, zuhr. This is peak system load. The physical hardware is really feeling the strain of the fast, but the spiritual software, it's running at maximum efficiency. And finally, sunset, maghrib. The very second the sun dips below the horizon, the shield is definitively deactivated. The timing here is totally non-negotiable. It's synced perfectly with the cosmos.
Notice the imagery here, that glowing red dome reflecting on the starlit digital lake. Salem uses this to beautifully illustrate that Imsak isn't about feeling trapped at all. Actually, it forms this vibrant, sacred, protective barrier around the believer's soul. It's a sanctuary. During those daylight hours, you are living inside this glowing dome of protection, completely insulated from the constant, heavy physical demands of the world. It's this incredible space of pure, unbroken focus.
Now, at this point, Jassas is wondering, is the goal here just to suffer as much as possible? Which leads Salem to our next section, system optimizations, also known as mustahabat or sunan. So these aren't the load-bearing pillars we just talked about. Instead, these are brilliant system optimizations designed to make the tech run smoothly. Salem contrasts the two main ones, and it's honestly so elegantly practical. On one side, you have delaying the suhoor, that's the pre-dawn meal. The recommendation is to push your fuel intake as late as legally possible, literally right up until that Fajr shield activates. On the flip side, you have hurrying the fitr, breaking the fast. The absolute split second that Maghrib shield deactivates at sunset, you're recommended to input fuel immediately. You really don't get any extra points for starving yourself longer than necessary.
Jassas hits the nail on the head here. He realizes these aren't just arbitrary traditions. They're gentle, merciful hardware hacks designed by the divine. They minimize the actual time the body is without fuel, while totally maximizing your spiritual output. They're built in to keep the system running smoothly without overheating or, permanently damaging the human body. It proves that the objective of the system isn't pain. The objective is discipline, but bordered by incredible mercy.
And that brings us to the perfect summary for this explainer. As the neon green domes dim and those silver palm trees reflect quietly in the digital water of our biopunk Medina, Salam delivers this final thought. He says, the rules of fasting are not a prison, but a meticulously designed architecture for human freedom. Think about it. When you truly understand the pillars, the activation code of the intention and the protective shield of abstaining, and you apply those merciful optimizations, you realize you aren't being restricted at all. You're actually being freed from your base desires. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. How might submitting to this highly structured, brilliantly coded system be the ultimate path to unlocking true spiritual liberation? Just let that sink in as you process this amazing architecture. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you on the next one.